Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
I did not know that. Good evening. We'll call to order this meeting of the Fitchburg Board of Public Works for Monday, April 7th. Tonight, attending, we have Alder Jetzer, myself, Kim Labdell, and Don Gutowski. Dave Wilborn is off sick tonight. Public appearances for non-agenda items, we do not have any. So that would move us to agenda item 3A, approval of the March 17th meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Don, second by Kim. Questions, corrections, additions?
None.
Very complete minutes. All in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the minutes are approved. Next, we have the report from our Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, PE.
Thank you. A couple project updates for this evening. The Sain Road Reconstruction Project, Phase 3 construction commenced on Monday, March 24th, 2025, so 2 weeks ago. The work that's been completed and ongoing are utility relocations, clearing and grubbing, some tree chipping will be starting this week from what was cleared, and erosion control installation. The main contractor, Rock Road, will be looking to start excavation activities and culvert pipe installation this week on that project, so that's moving along. And then our Phase 2 project, which was awarded to Parisi Construction, same contractor that completed our Lacey Road reconstruction project. They're still anticipated to start on Monday, April 21st, 2025, so 2 weeks from today. And then our 2025 street resurfacing project, we're looking to award the contract at tomorrow night's council meeting, so it's on the agenda for tomorrow evening. And then our 2025 street maintenance project, that's our crack filling and chip seal project. We're looking to have that advertised either late this week or next week, and a bid opening at the end of the month for that project. And then once we get that project advertised, we'd look to work on getting the 2025 sidewalk replacement project advertised. So that's looking to track in the month of May to have that advertised and a bid opening, hopefully within May. And then we still have our 2024 street resurfacing and 2024 street maintenance project. There's some minor punch list items with striping. We're looking to start that back up once the weather's a little bit more consistent. We're still seeing temperatures in the low 30s at night and in the mornings, which it's hard to put striping down. And then our concrete project for our sidewalk replacement in 2024. Once those temperatures are a little more consistent above freezing, the contractor would remobilize just to complete that project. So, you know, we're seeing a couple days here or there with nice weather, but then the cold weather kind of ruins it. We're not going to bring them down here for 3 days of work to have them sit for 2 days. With that, does anyone have any questions?
Board members? Don?
I do have one. Sain Road, how long is that detour in place?
Detour's in place till probably August, September.
Okay, thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, on the sidewalk replacement, that reminded me that I don't know that we had any closure on the Uptown Fitchburg sidewalk issue.
Yeah, Uptown Crossing.
Yeah.
I did reach out to, it was Viridian Homes on that project, and had several conversations with their director of development. And so with that project, they actually didn't develop it. There was a different developer, and Viridian bought the lots, and they have closed out the POs, and they weren't willing to chip in at all for that project. So I had probably 2 or 3 conversations in December, January, and I believe in February. And then Matt Brink was the gentleman's name from Viridian I was discussing it with, and he sent an email back in February just saying Viridian was not willing to contribute anything for the crack sidewalk. So it was about $7,000 we were looking. The city was still going to pay the city's share, but we were looking for Viridian to kind of cover the residents' costs, which worked out to be $7,000, but they were not willing to work with us on that.
Anything else?
So I guess since that time, we've sat with building inspection to kind of go over a process to make sure that doesn't get missed at the time of occupancy, so that the builder is taking care of that prior to an occupancy permit getting issued. So that's something that a procedure's a little bit better in place now than it was 6-7 years ago.
Kim, do you have something?
No, I was just going to say that, perhaps they should have gone to the original developer, because, like you said, if Viridian just bought the lots, technically that was probably all put together in place. So maybe when you're going through your processes, I don't know when the inspection happens. If it's right at occupancy, it would be after, the lots were developed. But I'm guessing that the original developer might have had to put in the sidewalk in that area, but I'm not sure, so.
Yeah, so the original developer did put in the sidewalk. However, what you see with the subdivisions is the builder then will come in. We've gone through, did our punch list, we've accepted the project, therefore they can sell the lots. Once the lots are sold, builder comes in, and their landscaper, their concrete person, crack the sidewalk, and we try to then get it before the certificate of occupancy for the structure, the house, or whatever's going in. So that's why we were having the discussions with Viridian, not the original. So now that there is better, like I mentioned, implementation of a procedure to make sure that doesn't happen, coordination between Public Works and both building inspection.
Do they have any existing projects going on in the city right now?
I believe in Highfield Reserve, they're building. So
I would like a pause. I would like the city to issue a cease and desist. That's they can't. We're not asking for that much here. It's really disappointing. Really disappointing that they can't step up and own this. It's unfair to those residents, and it's unfair to me as a taxpayer, because I'm paying part of that $7,000, and I don't believe the cracks were there. When we first when it first went in, I would I think we ought to put a cease and desist. You guys, all right, you guys are. You guys are stopped here until we get a resolution. That's you want to do business here. You have to be a good partner. You can't just find an excuse to walk away or blame someone else. Those residents, that you shouldn't have to foot that. I would like, not that I want to put any more on our plate, but I'd like that discussion with Valerie. If we have any, I'll email her tomorrow.
Okay. I can discuss
Can
further
you
with
discuss
Chad.
with her? Because, we usually, we never have any leverage on these things, and I believe we do now. If they're working here on the project. I'll get off that one. Back to the sidewalks from last year. Did we have to pay a remobilization fee, Tim? Because I'm assuming that the project was based on, one mobilization for them to come down here and do the work.
There was no additional
okay.
remobilization fee.
All right, I appreciate that. And with the resurfacing, Osmondson's on that list, or are we going to finish that as part of this work?
Yes,
or is that...
Osmondson is on the 2025 street resurfacing.
Okay, all right. Get those people to stop bothering me. We've been telling them it's going to be done, and it will be done. Okay, that's all I had. Anything else?
And one more question.
Go ahead, Bill.
So we've got the street resurfacing, the street maintenance, and then those are annual projects we've had forever, right? And then we've had in the past couple of years additional resurfacing and maintenance with ARPA and TID closure funds.
Correct. And in 2025, we do have a project for street resurfacing with ARPA. We awarded that contract back in November with Payne and Dolan will be doing that. So in addition to our 2025 street resurfacing, which will be completed by Tri-County Paving, we'll be doing almost another. So the Tri-County is doing about $1.7 million in street resurfacing. Payne and Dolan's doing, I believe it's another $920,000 of street resurfacing. So we'll be having 2 street resurfacing projects going on simultaneously this year by 2 different contractors.
Okay, and then is that going to exhaust our one-time funds?
Yes, that should exhaust those ARPA funds.
Okay.
I believe you saw the accounting from that Misty sent. Did that get forwarded to the board on what the ARPA funds were used for?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for raising that issue about the ARPA funds. I had forgot about that one. Okay. All right, we grilled Tim enough here. Next, review items, review of utility P card and check purchases. Any questions from the board on these?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
I see there's $2,000 for lift station grease. Is that like a lifetime supply, or how much grease do we go through?
It's not. It's the chemical to combat the grease that we're seeing in the Terra Vesala station. So that's part of the Hawkins bill, and they deliver. They're the same company that delivers our chemicals for our water treatment, our fluoride and chlorine, and the grease is then combated by the chemical that Hawkins supplies.
Okay, so likely that just got truncated.
Yes.
Okay. And I see that there was a couple of line items in there, a check for CDL. How's that program going? Do we have a lot of guys taking advantage of that, or how
This
many
year
do we
we'll
need?
be having 3 guys take advantage of that. 1 or 2 in utilities, and then also one in parks. Currently 2, I believe back in last month they went to the class, and then the third person we're looking to have completed late summer, early fall to get ready for plow season to help us out.
And how are we doing staff-wise with people who've got a CDL?
Believe most of our staff have a CDL.
Okay, so we're not losing shifts or anything.
The 3 that are taking the class, or the 2 that took the class in March and the 1 taking it in late summer, early fall are recent hires. Therefore, hence why they're going to the class. But the majority of staff have some form of classification for the CDL.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Tim, just for my understanding, we got 3 late notices fees for MMP. What's MMP?
Let me see. What page was the
Oh, 10. Yep.
I believe that's a software. I could pull it up in our financial system. Just bear with me. Yeah, it's not pull. It's saying no documents found. I can try to pull it up during the meeting and
That's
just
fine.
come to it
Thanks.
when I find it. Yep.
Tim, I'm just going to back up a little. You mentioned, Hawkins with the chemicals. Have you been getting any calls or emails from the public lately, ever since the forest, decided to not fluorinate their water in Utah, the state of Utah, put a moratorium on it? Have you been getting any calls about that?
I haven't.
I hope not.
I haven't received any
Okay.
emails or calls, and Tracy hasn't either. I'm pretty sure she would have came to discuss that if she has.
Okay, good. All right. Then let's move on to our agenda items. First, we have 6A, Resolution R 4725, approving relocation order for construction Sain Interceptor Phase 2 extension. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by
R
Don.
4725.
Moved by Don, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Bill. So it looks to me like we need this order. The Sain Interceptor will go across a lot on the north side of Haight Road, Haight Farms Road. And as I read through it, we need to have this in order before you can approach the landowner so you have options to obtain this easement, or if that doesn't work, we have another option. So what else would you like to add on this one?
Just that the capital improvement planning includes the design and construction of the Sain Interceptor Phase 2 extension. City Council approved R-23-25, which awarded the design services for the Sain Interceptor Phase 2 extension to Vierbecker. And the City of Fitchburg has determined it necessary for public purpose to extend the Sain Interceptor through the Hartung development.
Tim, when I look at the map, the one lot that we're requiring an easement, look like it's going right through their front yard, or is it backyard or front? Looks like the driveway is off of Haight Farm. Yeah. Are we? If you look to the north, if you look to the east, there it's a fully wooded lot. Are we going through all that? Are we cutting all the trees to go through there, or are we putting it along the road? I mean, it looks like it's a pretty wooded section there too.
So it is going through the gentleman's backyard.
Okay.
A portion of it is within the environmental corridor, and which is unbuildable, and to install the interceptor is allowed to be installed within an environmental corridor. And then if you kind of look on the map of page 15, outlot 13 of Nine Springs is a city-owned property. So
Right.
Once we hit his east property line, we'd be following into the city-owned property, and then it would head south to Haight.
Questions on this? It looks like you need a 30-foot easement and then additional 10 feet for a temporary construction easement.
On both sides
On
of the
both sides,
30-foot easement.
Bill, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So the development that's going to go in east of this property, is that strictly within Outlot 14 then? That's the,
Uptown Hills development.
Yeah.
Correct. So Uptown Hills is in Outlot 14, and then Outlot 13 is city-owned property. So we'd be following the north property line of Uptown Hills, and then we would have to obtain as part of that development, we're obtaining an easement to go through, to then turn south to go through the Hartung property.
Okay. And the property that we're getting the easement on, that's within the urban service area, but is that guy on city water and sewer?
He's currently on septic, and as part of this would be required to connect to
Okay,
the
that was
to
going
the
to be my
interceptor.
follow-up.
Yeah.
And Tracy did send a letter to him, kind of explaining, what we're looking for the temporary easement and permanent easement, and also did explain the mandatory connection. We have yet to hear from him, but we'll be following up on the letter that she sent a couple weeks ago.
Thank you. That was my next question. Is he aware that this request will be coming? It's getting on. It costs some money, but getting on the city sewer, I believe, is a benefit versus having to deal getting your septic pumped and your field. But usually, what happens about the time we do this, the person just replaced their septic system the year before. But we will see. All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Well, just one follow-up then. Where does this guy get his water? Is he on a well? And if so, is this construction going to affect his well in any way?
Let me just pull up our GIS.
I got a hunch he's got his own well.
Yeah, I'm not showing a water service to his property, so it looks like he's on private well.
I'll just be prepared for that complication. If the well is drilled in the back of his home or wherever it is, I guess you guys be aware of that. All right, any other questions? We'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R4725 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have Resolution R6025 approving purchase of salt for 2025-2026 season. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve resolution number R60-25.
Second.
Moved by Kim, second by, was that Bill?
No,
Don. Don, second. So this is our annual purchase. Looks like we're getting 130 tons of, 130 tons, 1,300 tons.
1,300 tons.
1,300 tons for roughly 122,000. I think I did a calculation, less than $100 a ton. And we have somewhat of a tight window that we have to get this in to tie in with the state contract. Is that correct?
Correct. The signed agreement actually needed to be sent back to them back in March. They gave us a 2-week turnaround time. However, with the last council meeting in March being canceled, I'd asked for an extension, and DOT was all right with it. So as soon as this would be on tomorrow night's council agenda, and then once it gets approved or pending approval, we'd get it signed and back to DOT.
Given the later snow season, do we have a decent backlog of I want us to order the same amount every year, whether we, unless we start filling up our things. But I'm assuming we're not out of snow season yet, but I assume we have
On page 26, it says we've got 696 tons in inventory right now.
All right.
And we actually have a little bit more. We're probably closer to capacity. We recently purchased some salt from Cottage Grove. They overbought and couldn't return it, so we bought it cheaper than the state contract price and hauled it to our facility. So we're close to about 1,500 tons right now.
Let's hope they mess up like that again in the future.
So Tim, also on page 26, under the middle section where it says 2025-26 salt order specifications, it shows 700 tons rather than 1,300. What's going on there? And then the next section is optional purchase that can be no more than 20% of the total, and you've got exactly 20% of the 700 there.
Yes, so right now we have two sheds. We have the new shed, which can store about 1,000 tons, and then we have our old cold storage shed, which can store about 500 tons. And as I mentioned, we're currently full. The 700 tons is kind of an estimate on what we would need, so say we use up the 1,500 tons, we could order 700 tons for 2,200 tons total next season. This year we went through about 800 tons, given it was lighter. So it varies anywhere from 8 to 1,200 tons we'll go through in a season. So we put about 700 tons, and then we could get an additional 140 on top of that too.
So I'm confused on the 1,300 versus the 700.
So the 1,300 was put to the budget. So that was budgeted it would have been June-ish. So we didn't know how snow season would play out this year. We weren't anticipating buying any from Cottage Grove. So the 1,300's what our budget states, our 2025 budget, which was completed in 2024. Our 700 is kind of what we're gauging. We're going to utilize the late 2025, early 2026, so snow season.
So we're not going to need as much as what we had budgeted, so there should be
there will be an
That's what it
access
is,
that we typically the cities historically carried over that money. So whatever money's left in salt is just carried over to the next year to purchase salt, to kind of offset the heavy years from the low years to back to heavy, that fluctuation.
I'm going to ask you an unfair question, but just for been watching, if we have a large, say we have a 1 foot snowfall, do you any sense how much we go through on a 1 foot?
It's not so much the snowfall, it's the ice events. So I was speaking to Mark today, he said if it's a heavy ice event, we could go through 100 tons. Okay. Because that's the only way to combat the ice. So that's where we really see the high usage.
Okay.
Overall, generally, we've been using less salt, just kind of the salt awareness has helped a lot. We've calibrated our trucks. They're all automated now with controls and dispensing. And, but a big ice event comes, that's kind of where we'll see a high usage.
To do it for safety, yep, okay. All right. Any other questions?
And I think I got most of it based on the 122. If we don't use it all, it rolls into the next year. My question was going to be the reverse of that. If it runs higher, we're getting good value now, but it's my understanding the bulk of the salt the state's getting is coming from Canada, so it's not going to be the same price as we've been getting. So,
yeah, we have been. This year we've only 800 utilized, so the money that we spent would be just carried over.
Okay.
You mentioned Canada. It's mined under Lake Huron is where that salt is coming from. There's an enormous mine that's under Lake Huron. Okay, go ahead, Don.
No, most of it they were trying to get is from the Michigan area, but that's running out, and so they've been getting a lot from Canada, and I'm not sure what the tariff is lately these days, so. Yeah. So I just was wondering if we're gonna run out of money, even though we're, with your reserve, you got 840, so, okay.
Any questions? So call the vote. All in favor of resolution R 6025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next announcements. Next Board of Public Works meeting is Monday, April 12th at 5:30.
21st?
April 21st, I'm sorry, at 5:30. If you can't make it, let me know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Moved by Bill, second by Don. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.